Let's put this here. Okay. All right. Thanks for your patience. And I got a timer back there. Amazing. Okay. All right. Hello. Oh my gosh, I usually work on a one-on-one capacity, so thank you all for being with me and having grace as I stretch my edges, having lights in my face and lots more faces to talk to. So welcome to the future. Clearly we just had an incredible presentation, and I had an intro that spoke to all the innovations that I thought have been cool that we've been experiencing, and then I saw that and I was like, okay, you can just reference that as like the future we are in, because that's way more than I realized was happening. So obviously we're amidst an unprecedented, constant refresh of innovation that seems to be innovating so fast that I can hardly imagine where we're gonna be in a year, let alone 5. Like that presentation, I was just like, okay. And so the world is advancing and it's not stopping. And so I am most curious how the humans are doing. Like, how are we? My name is Lotti Lofgren, formerly Rachel Bellotti. I am a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a friend. I am a recent stepmom to 2 teen boys. Holy moly. I am a dancer, I am a mixed media artist. I'm a teen cancer survivor. I'm a teen sexual assault survivor and trauma survivor. I currently live in Bozeman, Montana, but I've lived all over, including Canada, in my RV, and even here in Milwaukee. So it's been fun to be back. Professionally, I am a certified personal and executive life coach. I am a former burnt out ad executive, and I'm the creator of Unstuck Spaces, which I really partner with people who are struggling to maintain their sense of self or stay connected to their sense of self and their sanity amidst all the complexities and changes and chaos that's happening with all that's happening in the world, so that they can reconnect to their humanity, to their authentic regenerative power, into their aliveness. So I'm really honored to be here. And I don't know if you planned this, Judy, but I think the segue from the powerful presentation of George to then this is really cool. So over the course of the last few years, I have been working with lots of different clients and leaders from lots of different walks of life, from construction project managers to parents to C-suite executives. And the common thread that I'm witnessing firsthand is that everyone is really experiencing burnout and exhaustion and deep dissatisfaction, disconnection from themselves, from their work, from their people, from their communities. And these are incredible people, like some of the best. And they're having to choose between whether they should choose their lives or their work and their leadership roles. They're having to sacrifice their lives on a daily basis in order to meet the demands, the ever-growing demands of being a leader. And their well-being is significantly suffering. I see that we are more connected than ever, but we are lonelier than ever. The US Surgeon General recently announced that we are living in a loneliness epidemic, and it's more widespread than diabetes, smoking, and anxiety. So it's affecting more than 1 in 2 American adults, which is huge. I see growing overwhelm and discomfort with the increases of complexities and chaos and expectations of the changing technologies. I see more fear-based thinking. I see more fear-based spaces. I see more binary thinking, survival mode mentalities, instability, I see overwhelmed nervous systems, and I see chronic stress. And so I'm really grateful that wellness is mainstream now. But I'm even starting to see, not with all my clients, but several of them, even that is starting to become a thing to prove, a thing to perfect, a thing to check another box. Or worse, I'm seeing wellness starting to be brought in and co-opted as a way to almost extract more from us versus give us back our lives. Yeah, I'm seeing head nods. So some tangible examples of how there's a few clients that I've worked with that shook me. The first, I had a C-level executive come to me who was going through cancer treatments and working full-time. I actually don't know how that was possible, but they were full-time, going through the full regime of cancer treatments. And they came to me because they didn't want to tell any of the people that they worked with that they were going through cancer because they were afraid of losing their edge and business opportunities. I am currently working with a new business EVP in the advertising space. And she's in her 40s, she doesn't have kids or a partner, partially by choice, partially not. And all the extra work is being given to her because she doesn't have any responsibilities at home. And she is absolutely drowning. And I've been working with an SVP for a while, and she recently summed it up perfectly in my heart, I think. She said, Lotti, it's like I'm a train, and all my train cars are on different tracks, going in different directions, and I have no idea where they are, or if they're even on the tracks, and I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I'm failing everywhere, and I just wish I could bring all those train cars back together onto one track with me as the conductor. Can anyone relate to any of this just by a show of hands? Yeah, you're not alone. I think we're all trying to sort this out. This is a talk about regenerative leadership, the next generation of well-being, because while all these advancements are really exciting, and they really are. Both my brother and my dad are engineers, and so they're constantly I was like, oh my gosh, they should meet George. And they're super exciting. But there's this underlying deeper story that is there that I think we need to start listening to, that's been starting to bubble up, that's been really happening since industrialization started, I think. And it kind of reminds me of the boiling frog analogy, which is awful, but it's relevant here. It's like our humanity has been slowly boiled, so gradually, that we're able to still maintain, but actually we are burning, and so we kind of need to acknowledge the water is bubbling really fast. And so I truly believe that the role of leadership could start to give us back our humanity and our well-being while still allowing us to advance and innovate, truly. So this is not a doomsday story. I am not going to tell you the only answer is that we have to burn it all down and run to the woods. It would be kind of fun though, and if you want to go do that, don't burn it all down, but if you want to run to the woods, I fully support that. Instead, I want to invite you into a space to play with the and, where we can turn towards what is here, acknowledge what's here, be with what's here, and be a stand for what we want right now. Because what if we didn't have to struggle and suffer through this? What if we didn't have to run from it? But what if there was a way to influence it? They say that at any given time, we are either being informed and influenced by the external environment, or we are informing it. It's actually both. It's not either or. But I think it's really easy to forget that we have choice within our control at any given moment. So from that space, my invitation is that if we want more humanity and well-being within our lives, within our friendships, within our work, within the world, then we have to start showing up more humanly, regardless of what's going on around us. Not the easiest thing to do sometimes when stuff is right in your face, but it's not impossible. If we want more humanity in the world, then we as humans are literally the best people for the job. So as the tech continues to get better and better, like, it gives us the opportunity to come back to what we are. So we're gonna do a little exercise. Find a partner at your tables. It would be awesome if it was someone you didn't know well, but it's okay if you do. So find a partner. We are going to just experiment a little bit, because sometimes these concepts, we can all go like, yeah, totally. And then you step out of the room and you're like, yeah, it's great if you can actually let it sink in, start to experience it for yourself, embody it. So we're gonna do an exercise called orienting in a human way, so that we can experience reconnecting to our humanity within ourselves and each other. And because this is an early enough talk in the conference, I encourage you to take whatever resonates with you throughout the rest of the conference and like keep playing with it and seeing what happens. So orienting is relating to something. The way we see the world is often how we interact with it and engage with it. So if I see the world as a dangerous place, like I used to I still sometimes do, as a trauma survivor, you engage with the world as a very dangerous place, and you operate very differently than if you see it as a safe and a human and a loving place. And so this exercise is going to give us the chance to start to orient to the humanness that's here. Any questions? No? Okay. So there's going to be 3 rounds, 20 to 30 seconds each. I will count you down into the round, and then I'll lead you out. And all you have to do is just sit and hear my prompts and experience your humanness in expanding ways. So if you're ready, the first round is going to be orienting to yourself. You can close your eyes if you want. If that isn't safe for you, just soften your gaze so you're not like. The second round is going to be orienting to each other, so you'll turn towards your person. And then the third round will be orienting to the room. So, are you ready for round 1? Okay. All right, so we're orienting to ourselves. You can close your eyes if you want, otherwise just soften your gaze. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and start to connect to your humanness. The beauty of who you are in just being alive. Notice the thoughts and sensations that come up as you feel your humanness and your aliveness. All right. You can let that one go. I know it was really fast. I hate, like when I was practicing, I was like, oh my God, it feels so good. I don't want to move on. Okay, round 2 is going to be orienting to your partner in a human way. So just go ahead and face each other. This is kind of a version on eye gazing, if you've ever heard of that. So you're just going to gaze into each other's eyes, and you don't have to do anything. You just literally take each other in. And and I'll give you a few more prompts. Okay, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. See if you can sense and feel the human across from you. And allow them to feel your humanness. And just keep breathing, no matter what comes up. Feel it, that's your humanity. Okay, you can go ahead and drop it. I know, it can be a little, I was like, I'm gonna push them out of their comfort zones. Okay, round 3. Also, if you didn't know the person you just did that with, I just wait, by the end of the conference, you're gonna be like, I feel like I know them so well. Okay, round 3 is gonna be orienting to the room. So sometimes it's nice to be able to just scan the room. I like to do that. Or you can just stay still and widen your view. All right, 3, 2, 1. Feel the interconnectedness of this room. The humans that are here. Okay, you can drop that round. And for just a few, less than a minute, just connect with your partner and talk about what that was like for a little bit, and then I'll call you back in. All right, you guys can keep talking about it at lunch if you want. So there's a worksheet on your table. I encourage you to just answer the first question that's there. What do you want to remember from that experience? And yeah, what stood out as important for you? And then we'll keep rolling. All right, you can keep writing if you want, but I'm gonna keep going. So I'm not the only person that's talking about an and solution here. Some people are tapping science, specifically quantum physics, to just see what other types of interconnected change models exist and the potentiality there. Others are talking about the 5th industrial revolution. So we heard about the 4th. There's a call to a convergence of tech and human. And how can we create a human-centric industrial model? I haven't read everything, but of what I have read, I'm actually gravitating more towards the regenerative model. So has anyone heard of regenerative, just by a show of hands? A few? So before I go any further, I just want to give full credit to the term regenerative, the concept and the model, to the indigenous cultures. They're really the ones who created this, and I'm grateful for it because it's beautiful. It's really a way for us to be able to start to connect with one another again. connect to the aliveness and the interconnected aliveness of the things around us in our ecosystems. So with this model, it's really about nature and natural ecosystems as teacher. It's about here humans are an interconnected part of nature and natural ecosystems. It's about that interconnected ecosystem where each part is meant to be fully itself, fully whole, fully authentic, because that's the most life-fulfilling and sustainable way for something to exist. And when they all come together in cohesion, it's for the betterment of the system. So it almost is this self-generating, self-fulfilling, self-sustaining reality naturally. It feeds itself. So it's a life-affirming models rooted in the well-being of all of its parts. Which to me, when you hear that, I originally heard it in response to agriculture. That's where the indigenous cultures really created it for, but then it was how they lived. I was like, this has global applications. This is like a lot of my clients are experiencing a lack of life-affirming realities and a lack of interconnectedness within the system that they're a part of. And so how can this be applied beyond just agriculture? And in fact, it is. So we're starting to see regenerative fashion, regenerative medicine. Now, how deep it is, I'm not sure, but regenerative business is also a part of it. So 5 or so years ago, Giles Hutchins and Laura Storm wrote the book Regenerative Leadership. So these are a bunch of books if you want to come up and take photos if you're interested in this. And they define regenerative leadership as a life-affirming way of living and leading that contributes more to life across all its systems than it takes. So I'm going to invite you again to your worksheets. There's questions 2 through 3. And so again, these are kind of like bigger concepts, and I want you to be able to personalize them and really make them yours, make them more real, make them more relatable for you. There's 3 questions. I'm going to start a song, and by the time the song's done, that's all the time you got.
You don't have to know the way knows the way.
Connected to Rachel's iPhone.
Don't have to
sorry.
plan the way, trust the way, feel your way, the way knows, the way knows, the way knows the way. You don't have to know the way, knows the way. You don't have to plan the way, trust the way, feel your way,
that was Lindsay Scott, for anyone that wants to know. The way knows. So we are always influencing, even if we don't think that we are, and we aren't conscious that we are, especially as leaders. And regenerative leadership is an invitation into how we might choose to lead, maybe in a more connected, life-affirming way, human way. So I wonder if the next generation of well-being is actually about taking back our humanity in a regenerative way as leaders. So to recap, we are amidst a boom of advancements, but it is taking a toll on our humanity, our well-being, and honestly, even our ability to perform at times. And at this crossroads, there is an opportunity to reignite our humanity by how we choose to show up. We have that power within ourselves, regardless of what's going on around us. And there's an invitation to consider doing that in a more regenerative way, which innately leads to a more humane, life-affirming, sustainable reality for more people, while still allowing us to continue to advance and innovate and meet bottom lines and things that are really important for the way our current society exists. And so I really think that leadership is like a fertile ground for us to be able to start to bring our humanity back, to start to bring our well-being back, to bring our connections back, and start making an impact from that space. So what happens from here? What comes next? Truthfully, there's not a one-size-fits-all for this answer. And actually last night at the bonfire, a question was asked, how does humanity need me? And Barbara said, humanity needs me because humanity is me. And I was like, oh my gosh, you wanna come up and talk with me? That is like, mic drop. But that's why there isn't like a one answer. I could stand up here and tell you what my answer is for me as my human version, but that wouldn't be yours. And so we each are gonna go on a different journey, and it's gonna take something different from different people to really take back their humanity and take back their well-being. But the cool thing is that you don't really have to wait for anyone, because doing this doesn't require anything you don't already innately know. So you can literally start now. And as I said earlier, waiting around for the world or the systems to tell you it's okay to start showing up as a human, see you in the next lifetime. I think right now we can all choose to leave this talk and decide, I'm gonna be more human as of right now. So some specific examples to give you just an idea of what it could look like from those original clients I shared. The one who is the cancer patient, they ended up realizing that rehumanizing themselves meant being vulnerable. And so they went to work, they shared with their people, they saw an outpouring of support, and they were able to actually create an initiative within the organization to support employees who are actively going through cancer. The EVP who was getting dumped on realized rehumanizing herself meant that she needed to value her own life. And so she started to work with boundaries. And she came into work and she started saying no. She got some of her life back, not everything she wanted, but she got some of it. And it freed up opportunities for other people who wanted to be able to do some of those things that they hadn't done before, that she had already shined in. And the train SVP, she was being groomed to be a CEO, and at that organization she realized that they really weren't ready for her type of leadership, and so she decided to go to another organization that really was ready to create more human-centric models. So there's a lot of different ways that this can come to life. So I encourage you, there's one last question on that worksheet, and it's a promise to yourself, a commitment for how one thing that you think you could walk away today with, to take through the conference and beyond, for how you might start to bring your humanity back as a leader in a more regenerative way. So go ahead and answer that, and I'll give you one final quote. and know that this isn't about perfection. Whatever you write is exactly what was supposed to be written today, and then just keep iterating and experimenting. That's the fun of being alive. So in closing, I leave you with a quote by John Naisbitt, futurist. "The greatest breakthroughs of the 21st century will not occur because of technology. They will occur because of our expanding concept of what it means to be human." Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm back. All right, we're going to do a little bit of breath work together. So to take us into the rest of the afternoon, I'm going to give or offer up and share with you 2 different practices based on where your energy's at. The first one's going to be more of a calming breath, and the second is going to be a fun, uplifting breath. So the first one, oh, did I get louder? The first one is the belly breath. Has anyone heard of it, just by a show of hands? It's a pretty common one. I like to come back to this one because it's really at the root of proper breathing. Without having a proper diaphragmatic range and capacity, any of the other breathwork practices that you might do are going to be at a deficit. And so I like to come back to that, and I'll give you some ways to kind of adapt it and have fun with it too. So what you do, usually you're seated or lying down to start. You put one hand right below your ribs, getting louder, and then one hand right below that. And you can force the air, especially at first, because you really want to grow your diaphragm, and most of us are chest breathers, which means that our diaphragm is not working at full capacity. So ideally you're breathing through your nose because that is has a natural filtration. But if that's not accessible to you, then you can just slightly close your mouth, and that'll kind of limit that breath as well. So you breathe in through your nose and out through your nose, unless, like I said, you need to use your mouth. And you just inhale, and you're not gonna be able to see it on me, and you try to push out as far as you can, and then when you exhale, let the belly come in. And you put your hands on there just to bring awareness to that belly. So I'm gonna let you each do that 5 times. And when you're done, just close your eyes and see what that feels like for you. And so just notice how you feel now that you've allowed yourself to down-regulate a little bit. Maybe your heart rate dropped slightly. Maybe your breaths got a little bit longer. What I love about breath work is the breath is our life force, and it's immediately available for us. So we can tap that at any time. To take it to the next level, there's a thing called diaphragmatic training, where you can literally do the belly breath in all sorts of crazy positions and then continue to build that diaphragmatic capacity. And as a dancer, I love that. So the second breath, so you would do that one if you're feeling like your energy is through the roof, you need to bring yourself back down. The next one is if you're just feeling like a little sluggish. I don't recommend doing this if you have like chronic levels of stress or high anxiety or high blood pressure. So you can just watch. And then if that resolves itself, you really want to do this next breath from a place of having that stable force, stable foundation. Otherwise, it's going to deplete you. So you only have to do it 3 times max. And it is a silly one. So you don't take yourself too seriously. And it does build confidence in that capacity. It's called the lion's breath. And we're not gonna audibly roar, we're gonna silently roar, because I don't like to audibly roar, but if you want to, you can. So normally you would sit crisscross, but I'm not gonna do that, and you don't have to. So we're gonna sit here with our legs hip width apart, and then just place your hands in fists on your thighs. And I'll show you the whole thing before you have to do it with me. So your hands are gonna open and close. On the inhale, they're gonna be fists, so, and do that belly breath. And then on the exhale, you're gonna open your hands, you're gonna put your tongue out of your mouth, you're gonna cross your eyes up to your third eye, or look up, and you're gonna go, okay, so this is meant to detoxify and just like get rid of stale energy. So while you do that, when you exhale, you're gonna imagine that stale energy coming out from the bottom and up out of your mouth, okay? So again. You can do it 2 more times. And then notice how you feel. I get like a little lightheaded. I'm like, all right, whew, let's do this. What's next? Any questions with those? Those are 2 like basic ones that I like to have at my fingertips when I'm going through long days like this. So, yeah, totally. If you have any other questions about other breath things, I tend to focus more on basics because I think our basic breath is mostly dysfunctional. But there are a lot of different cool breath work techniques to help you sleep and all sorts of stuff. So that's it. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.